So we are ready for our next guest of the night. We're going to bring on Mr. Kent Slucher from Luke Bryan. How are you doing, Kent?
I'm good, April. How are you?
Good, man. It's good to see you. Thanks for taking
It's
time out of your schedule to hang out with us tonight, man.
I'm glad to be here. I was literally watching a Christmas movie
Oh,
earlier,
excellent.
so and it's so no big deal, man. It was over, and the kids were chilling, and it's I'd rather be nowhere else than hang with you. So
That's awesome.
here we
Thanks.
are.
Thanks so much, man. I gotta point out because Warm Audio was a sponsor in the past, and he's wearing
Oh
his
yeah,
Warm Audio hat. They're
I
a
am.
amazing microphone company out of Austin,
Yeah,
Texas. So I always like to draw attention to those folks that have helped us over the years. So it's very cool that you're wearing that. So I
yeah.
did some research, and I knew this before. You were born in Louisville, Kentucky, right?
I was. Yeah, technically, that's the hospital I was born at. At the time, I was living in Shelbyville, Kentucky. So I mean, literally 20, 30 minutes from there. That's what the hospital I was born at. It's in Louisville, and that's the biggest city close to Shelbyville there. So yeah, I was born there and lived in Shelbyville, and then Shelbyville and then Frankfurt area, and then I moved to Florida when I was about six. My mom got remarried, and then until I was 15, and then moved back to Kentucky. So
Oh
just a
wow.
journey, you
Yeah,
know.
and
Yeah,
now you're in Tennessee now, right?
I am. Yeah, I've been working here, playing music here. I don't like calling it work because it's really not work to me. I get to play music. So, uh, I let's see. So 22 years I've been touring now, I think, and I've lived here probably 17 or 18 of those. So yeah,
Wow, that's really cool. Well, I had to
yeah,
bring up
pretty
the
crazy.
Kentucky thing because you and I,
Yeah,
we don't ever get a chance to talk about like just random stuff. You know, when folks come in for Drumathon, everything's just like poof, it just flies past
I
you. It's
know it's
so
so busy.
fast.
You're so busy that day. You're
Yeah,
so busy.
you
So
notice. I can't hide
I
it.
didn't even see you. I hardly saw you. You were so busy. Every time I saw you, you were doing something. So
Yeah, it's sort of
just
like that. But I wanted to tell you that my dad's from Kentucky. He was actually born in Fort Knox.
oh, I had no idea. I
Yeah,
did not know that. Yeah,
and he's totally lived in Louisville for a while.
yeah.
Where else could I was trying to think. Vine Grove High School is where he went to. I can't remember
Oh
what.
wow.
Yeah, but yeah, he's a Kentucky guy, and we're actually related to the folks with Maker's Mark, which is
Oh
based there
wow. Okay.
too. And so if you look on
I'll
the
be
back
darned.
of the bottles, it's Rob Samuels is the guy behind Maker's Mark. So pretty
I'll be
crazy.
darned.
Yeah. So I
Small
had to tell you
world.
that. Yeah,
Small world.
totally. So
Awesome.
the thing that I love to do, Kent, when I get together with folks like you, is kind of learn your background and how you got into drumming, because I always find that so interesting.
Yeah.
So, what was the first thing that kind of attracted you to drumming?
Well, my mom and dad had a band together, and they were playing like top 40 stuff, everything from Fleetwood Mac to golly, I mean Linda Ronstadt, some of the more country, and then some of the more like laid back rock and roll stuff. And their drummer at the time's name was Dugan, and I remember just being as I could barely hold drumsticks, and I just remember seeing this, and it wasn't even just the drummer; it was the band. The whole thing just mesmerized me. And then so I kind of got that side of things, and then next door to that home, um, and I would always spend time there. And my aunt and uncles lived right next door to there, and their son, my cousin, was in a rock band. So that's what kind of where I've got more into Kiss and Led Zeppelin and Alice Cooper and all that side of things, Black Sabbath and all that. So I kind of had both sides of those, and I just I absorbed it like a sponge apparently. And my mom always likes to tell the story. They would be having band practice down in the basement, and I had drumsticks hitting on the side of the playpen. And if I dropped my sticks, I'd be louder than the band crying because I dropped my drumsticks, and they had to stop the practice, hand me back my drumsticks. And but I would just watch the drummer. You know, I remember as far back as I could. You know, I remember little snapshots of my life when I was that age. You know, and just I remember just I want to do that because it's physical. I get to hit things, and I get to have fun doing it. And then I saw Kiss and the Beach Boys on TV, and then it was all she wrote. That was it.
That's
That
awesome.
was
Playing drums, it is like a very like cardio thing. It's
it.
a
It is.
workout, but it's a great way to let off steam or any
Yeah.
aggression or just any positive, any negative. It's a good way to let it all out. Just be able to jam on some drums, you
It's
know.
it's very therapeutic. It's more than
Yeah,
just coming up and hitting things, and it's calming for me. It
yeah,
definitely helps me
yeah.
in many ways.
Right.
So I'm so
So
glad it kind of found me. So
yeah, what was your first drum set ever?
I don't remember I remember it was just like a Sears and Roebuck kind of thing, like out of the Sears catalog kind of thing.
We all
When I
had the
was younger.
same drum set
Yeah,
back
I think
then.
we all had the same drum set. No, my first real drum set that I got was in the early '80s. Um, Probably 80, oh, let's say 84 or so. My mom and stepdad bought me a drum set, Rogers kit, a set of Rogers drums. And I remember I was just blown away, and I wore those things out. I mean, just played and played and played and played and played them. And I remember I had them on the back porch in Florida, which saltwater is not good for
Oh
hardware, which
yeah,
I did
no.
not know that. My parents
Yeah.
didn't know that. Nobody knew that. I was just, we just didn't think about it. So I went to Kentucky to go visit family, and then came back, and all my hardware was rusted, and it was just beyond repair, I think, at that point. And I just remember that drum set kind of went by the wayside at some point, and I would give anything to have that drum set back. But that was my first real drum set. I remember that kit very, very well. Five piece, just nothing fancy, 12, 13, 16, 22-inch bass kick drum, I believe. And I wore it out,
That's
wore it
awesome.
out.
That's awesome. I remember like the first drumsticks I ever got, they were like Regal tip or something.
Yep,
And like you just like as a little kid, the folks usually get you drumsticks before they get you a drum set.
yep,
And you
yeah.
just go around beating on everything.
Well,
So
yeah.
yeah. Did you do
That's
like
the that's
go ahead.
I was going to say that's the story. My mom tells the story, and there's literally I have a seat over here, a little stool, piano stool that was my great grandmother's. You can see little stick indentations on it from me beating on the drum on the
Wow.
seat.
Uh
I've got it right over here. My aunt gave it to me,
that's
and then my
actually
mom
so
said I would
cool.
just, oh, it's great. Yeah, I have it right over here by my drum. And then I would hit the piano keys with drumsticks and all these terrible. So they really didn't have much choice, or they wouldn't have a house left, I don't think,
They're
but to
like
give me something
right, something to
to
hit on
to,
that
to hit, something to
that's
hit.
yeah, something that's been made to be hit on, right?
Exactly, something that's not a wall or a table or anything else.
Right.
So yeah,
Well, were you in band in school at all growing up?
I was in band for a couple of years. I want to say probably sixth to eighth grade, but I did never did really take it seriously. I always wanted to be in a rock band or just in a garage band. I didn't want to do any of that, but I did have fun doing that. But I didn't want to read the music. I just wanted to play, So I got caught listening to what the guy before me did, and then I wouldn't play the music, and I would just listen to what he did and kind of mimic what he did, and then kind of get by like that. I could read and just, but I didn't put forth the effort, which I wish I would have to kind of read music better back then. I just didn't really give it an effort. And then I got into sports. Sports was always really big in my life too. So I never really took that bull by the horns. But like I said, I really wish I could go back in time and learn to read proper music better. But,
It's
you know,
always
it is
interesting
what it
to
is.
it's always interesting to think about that and how that might have affected your playing long term, if it would help
Yeah.
it or if it would have changed it in a way that's
I
different,
don't
like,
know.
you know,
And
because
it's
I
hard. It's hard to want to change it because it's like,
yeah.
would you change it? It's like I don't know if I would because everything turned out okay. But if somebody put sheet music in front of me, I would clam up. I wouldn't know what to do. So these guys blow me away and mesmerize me that can sight read, like Vinny and all these guys that can just put a piece of paper in front of them. They're go.
Or like
They're good to go.
Rich
Blows me away.
Redman is like that
Yeah,
too,
Rich,
and he's
all these
like, I
guys.
mean, yeah, it's just amazing, and
Yeah,
I'm with you
Rich.
on that. Like sometimes I'll write down like maybe the main beat or something like that, but
Right.
it would take me a hot minute to be able to read that music. But I mean, like you said, it turned out great, and you have such
Yeah.
great feel and such great groove with your
Well, thank
playing.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And
So
that's a lot of the guys that I look up to and listen to play just kind of played. They just played, and whatever happened happened. And a lot of those guys say the same thing. If they could go back, they would I spent more time reading and stuff. But like I said, it's hard to want to rewrite that book, when it's you've had a pretty good career, and at this point I wouldn't change anything, but it's never too late. I'm always still trying to learn from everyone if I'm in a session or something, and I take notes from people. And so, I can do the Nashville number system stuff like that. I do sessions, and they bring the number charts in, and that's fine. But if they threw the notes in front of me, I'd be like, oh no, So
Right, right. Well,
yeah, I would
so
say yeah, no, yeah.
yeah. So did you do any like talent shows, or were you playing in any like school bands, or was the first jam like with your dad's band?
My
Yes.
first real gig was with my dad. I mean,
Yeah,
every now and again, there were some guys in school. We get together a handful of times, or somebody would have a drum set,
right.
and I'd go over and play. But it never really got serious again. It was always music was always in my life. I mean, it was always there. I've always listened to music and always played music. I always tinkered around and played, but it didn't really get serious again until my dad, um, his drummer of many years, retired. He just quit and said, "I'm done." So my dad basically told me I was going to be the drummer for the band, and he said, "Let's go get a drum set." So I co-signed for my own drum set, or I signed for my he co-signed, I should say, for my first drum set. I had a Yamaha Club Custom kit, and I bought, gosh, I guess back then it was Paiste cymbals, and I just bought everything I needed, and it was go time. And then Dad kind of showed me the ropes and gave me the looks if I played too much, and which I did plenty of back then.
That's the stink eye. Got to
It,
watch
it
out for the
just,
stink
oh
eye.
yeah, I brought all the drums, I had brought all the cymbals, I did all the things that young drummers do, and he stopped loving her today by George Jones was like a 4 bar drum fill half the time. So I was just getting, and he knew enough to know that I think it was just a phase, and that was good getting it out of my system. But to answer your question, yeah, I didn't really get serious. We played a bunch. I mean, we played every weekend for years.
Wow,
So
that's so cool to
that kind
have
of,
that
yeah,
experience with your dad.
it was really cool, and it's I love running into other musicians that got to share that experience with their dad and playing a band with their dad.
Yeah.
Even I think you hear Tommy Clufetos always talks about playing with his dad's band, and then Eric Singer the same thing. I think played with his dad's band. So there's a lot of guys that share that same thing, and yeah, you can't beat that, getting to play music with your father, so or mother or whoever it may be. So
Yeah, no
pretty great.
doubt. Yeah, that's super cool. So what was the first thing that happened? This was about you were about 19 years old when you first started gigging
Yeah,
out, right? And
yeah,
so
about that. Yeah,
yeah, and so after that band wrapped up, what was the next thing that you got into? And
I
how old
went
were
in.
you?
So my dad retired from playing music a lot, and then I went to another band um, called JoJo Gun. It was another local band that I went to play with, and we were just doing the same thing, just the club circuit, playing a bunch, bet every weekend. Getting home at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And then I went on to do um, that kind of went away, or something happened. Then I went to another gig, which was more of a house gig. I was playing the same venue every night with a band called Brad Alford and Saddle Tramp back in Lexington, Kentucky. And then from there, it just kind of a door opened. A gentleman named Carl Shannon, who was a local country music DJ for at the time it was K93, uh, would come in from time to time, and they would do remotes from there and watch me play and just like my playing, I guess, and gave my name to a gentleman named Anthony Smith out of here, Nashville here, singer songwriter who's an incredible writer, and he called me and took a chance on me, and now I sit here many years later. Um, yeah, with Luke Bryan. So it's great that the journey has been crazy. I've been lucky, a lot of luck involved, but I like to think that I was prepared and for the call.
Yeah, no
So
doubt. That's really cool. So when was the first time that you played with Luke?
I played with Luke. Let's see, I've been with Luke probably since late '07. It's kind of one of those things. A gentleman that played bass with Anthony was playing with Luke at the time, and he was like, "Man, I thought they're looking to make a change. Are you interested in the gig?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know who Luke is. That would be great. I think that guy's going to do things. And so I went and hung out and jammed, and and it worked out. And so that was like late '07, early '08. So we're been there a while now. It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, and during that time, you've
It's,
gotten to play at the CMA Awards and many other big
yeah.
things. Like you were on Jimmy Kimmel, a lot of things like
Yeah.
that. What do you have some
Yeah.
special memories from some of those performances you could share?
Man, I gotta say, just one that always sticks out. I mean, we were so lucky, and again, if you would have told me that little 6-year-old kid that I would have done the things that I've been blessed enough to do, I'd say you were out of your mind. But getting to do, we did David Letterman, and I got to see Anton Fig, who was always one of my heroes.
Oh yeah.
I got to see him in person from here to that wall over there. I'm sitting here looking at, and then um, Jimmy Fallon always blows my mind because of the roots. And again, you are literally, feet from Questlove and that band. You're right next to them, and man, the power and the precision and just the incredible musicianship coming off of that stage and being that close to those guys is absolutely incredible and nerve wracking because you're playing and you're looking over and there's those guys watching you play.
Wow.
I remember that really standing out and me being very nervous, but yet it prepares you for anything, it feels like, and then, just doing those. And this first time we did CMA Festival, I'd seen it on TV so many times in so many years, and getting to play that and getting to do it every year since with Luke has been, it's great because you get to see all the other acts. I enjoy watching, your Keith Urbans and your Lady A's and Luke Combs, all these guys, and now we're the older guys now, so we get to see the younger guys coming up. Your Morgan Wallens, your Luke Combs, and all these guys, and there's so many others, Cody Johnson, all these guys, and it's cool. It's cool to look at everything happening around you, and growing and changing.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you remember? I always like to ask this to you. Do you ever remember like the first like big show that you played and just like looking out and seeing a sea of people and just being like, oh my God, here I
I
am?
do, I do. It was actually, I want to say it was with Anthony Smith, and Anthony never broke to be that really big artist, but we got to do. Not to say he shouldn't have, because he should have it. Like I said, the album. It's got an album called "If That Ain't Country," and it was put out in like, oh golly, what was it? Anyway, "If That Ain't Country," one of the best records ever in the whole wide world ever recorded. He should have been huge, but nonetheless, he changed my life, took a chance on me. But anyway, I digress. Let me go back. So we played Farm Aid. We got to play Farm Aid, and that's the first time I'd really played an amphitheater or in front of a lot of people, especially with John Mellencamp and Willie Nelson, and I think Kid Rock was there, Keith Urban, all these other acts, and I was just really, really in awe of the whole
Well,
whole
that's like
thing. I
some
just couldn't
legends
believe
right
I was
there.
there.
Yeah.
I was absolutely beside myself, and yeah, just getting to watch some of these guys again. Farm Aid, I'd watched it on TV since I was a child, and so getting to be there and see Willie in person and to see John Mellencamp in person and all these other bands was just I was like, wow, if this is what this is like, I really, really want to do this. This is cool.
Well,
This is really cool.
people might misunderstand what that means. I mean, the thing is, I mean, at least I think you may agree is it's like playing for a lot of people. There's just a specific type of energy that's
Yeah,
exchanged. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's not like hey, look at me or anything like that. It's just
No,
this. It's
no,
just like
no.
this being able to do something so intimate as share music with a
Yes,
bunch of people and just this. I don't know. It's like I don't even know how to
yeah.
describe it, but
It's
I think people think that of it like, oh, it's fame and this, and I just want everybody to
no,
know me. It has
no,
nothing to do with that. It has to do with being able
no.
to do something you're passionate about and share that with
Yeah.
people
Well,
and have
yeah.
that energy transferred back and
Well,
forth.
because nine times out of ten, still, I mean, and I've been doing this for a long time, but 9 times out of ten, I'll walk off stage and people go, "Oh man, that was a fun show. So what do you do?" And I'm like, "Well, I was up there, but they don't even know. It
Right.
happens all the time, and you
Yeah.
know what? That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. It doesn't
I
matter.
love
That's
it. It
not why
doesn't.
you're there.
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't do this to get famous. I do this because I love music, and I tell
Right.
guys all the time, I'm like, it doesn't matter where you're playing or what you're playing. We all are in this for the same reason. We love playing music. That's it. I didn't do this to get rich. I did this because I love what I do and I get to do it with my friends. And I get to look out and I get to see people happy and smiling. And I was that guy. I was that kid out in the audience smiling, and I still am. I'm still that guy. So I love looking out and seeing kids' faces and seeing little drummers and guitar players and moms coming out and crying because the song makes them feel something. Seeing guys, shake their fist in the air and just have a good time. That's what it's about to me. Is just connecting with the music and connecting with those people. And if you're having a good time, it's going to translate to all those people out there. So I didn't do this to get famous, because I'm definitely not that, and I'm not rich, but I love what I do, and I hope that shows more than anything, because I do not take it for granted, and I love it. How could you not love playing drums? I had as much fun doing the benefit as I have in years, because it was just such a good vibe, and people were happy, and I that's
Yeah.
that's I play downtown sometimes with guys, and it's just about the experience. It's about playing music together, and maybe something cool happening. But it's just, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's almost like I don't know. It just makes you tick. It's just music has always been there for me. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think somebody said something like, if you do what you love for a living, you'll never work a day in your
Never work a
life,
day in your
right?
life. Yeah,
Yeah, and it
absolutely.
and it is. It's true. It's like
Yeah,
it's just that whole idea of going after whatever you're passionate about in life, and
yeah,
and having that fill your life. You know,
yeah. I
I
mean, the hard part's being away from your family, and
yeah.
and and that's what you get paid to do. I still always say you don't get paid to play. That's the easy part. It's the rest of the day that your dog might be sick, or your kids aren't feeling well, or you have a flat tire, or the water heater's going out. Just normal things, but you got to put that away and you put it aside. And for 2 hours, you go up there and you play music, and you can deal with all that other stuff later. You know, so just something takes over you, and
Right.
you just go out there and do it, and your adrenaline kicks in, and then you just go,
Yep.
you just go. So
Truth. I was looking at a few other things tonight, Kent, and I was like, man, you've done so many cool things, and I noticed that you had worked with Kelly Key of Night
I
Ranger.
did,
Yeah,
I
tell me
did.
about that, because I mean,
Wow, that was
Kelly
yeah,
Keegan's awesome.
that was a wild one. That and very random. I of course, like many drummers, was a Night Ranger fan. Not only a Night Ranger fan, but I was a Kelly Kagi fan, a singing drummer who was really good at both. And Night Ranger, I played air drums. Sister Christian, the drum, the drum for the whole thing. And I was a huge Night Ranger fan, still am. And they're still great. But anyway, I was on a flight back from Vegas, I believe, uh, when I was playing with Pam Tillis at the time. Still, and I saw Kelly Kagi, and it was Southwest flight. So I'm like, I'm gonna sit next to this guy, and I just couldn't believe it. I was starstruck a little bit, because I've looked up to Kelly, you know, as an influence, for singing and playing, and sat next to him, and we just chatted and hit it off, and we didn't shut up till we landed. I don't think. I think we just talked about everything, and so he reached back out to me at some point and said, "Man, I got this song on my solo record that I don't want to play on." He goes, it's a tribal kind of, just a lot of toms and an acapella thing and me singing. And he goes, "Would you be interested in coming over and doing it?" I'm like, 100%. So I went over to his
Absolutely.
house.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, how do you say no to that?
Right.
So I went over to his house, and I think he was living at Brentwood, Tennessee at the time, and I went over and did this. It's a very tribal thing with some shakers. He was walking around the room with some shakers and maracas and things, and it was an acapella vocal over top of it, and it turned out really cool. It's a song called "Where Are We Now," off a solo record called "I'm Alive." So yeah, I got to play one track, and that's more than enough for me. Getting to say that I did anything on one of his records was incredible, and we still keep in touch. We still will shoot messages back and forth, or say hey, or how's the family, that kind of thing. So I've made a friend out of that. So getting to call that guy, some of these guys I've got to become friends with over the years is insane. So yeah, that was extremely random, and turned into a friendship. So that was crazy. It was crazy. So
Well, and there was a
and
small
that's
plug for Southwest there that you get to pick your own
oh yeah.
seat. And
Sorry about yeah. I guess there is.
I'm thinking, just think, like if you were on
Yeah,
another
yeah,
airline, you wouldn't have got to
yeah,
sit next to him. I'm not, not
yeah,
trying to sell
yeah,
Southwest here, but hey, just
yeah,
saying they
yeah. I
should
mean,
sponsor Drumathon. But
I was like, wow. I mean, nobody else said that. I guess I will.
right, yeah, exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
that's so
Why
cool.
not?
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
cool. Being able
yeah.
to
So
meet folks that you looked up to growing up, that's so cool. And being able to play on that, I just can't
crazy.
even imagine getting that call.
It
That's
was
the
crazy.
coolest
I was
thing.
so scared. I was so scared and nervous, and he made me feel very comfortable because I was new to the studio stuff, pretty new to all that stuff. So I didn't really know the ins and outs of it. He made me feel very comfortable and very welcoming, and just kind of helped me out along the way. And it turned out really cool. So yeah,
So, how many albums have you been on now that have been released like
it's hard to
nationally?
say. A lot of independent stuff. I haven't done anything that you would necessarily hear on the radio a lot. A lot of independent. I played on some of Pam's records when I was with her. I played percussion on her on her Christmas record. I played. She put out a live DVD slash live record I played on, and I recut her greatest hits, and I played on that. So stuff like that, and like I said, tons of stuff here behind me here at home. But a lot of guys track remotely now, as you know, and it's just cheaper. The budgets aren't always there for big studios anymore, unless you're with a record label or what have you. So a lot of it's done remotely, or I'll go to a buddy of mine's studio, or I was at Blackbird Studio the other day if the budget's right, and just what I've done. There's a band called Quarantine I'm in, a side project which is non-makeup Kiss era with Chris Jericho, the wrestler
Nice.
dude,
Yeah.
who's a huge rock
Uh-huh.
fan. So he's in the band, and yeah, I mean we've had a couple songs chart, which is crazy because they're cover songs of Kiss, and they charted on the modern rock chart or something like that. I can't even remember at this point, but just crazy stuff, just wild, and yeah, tons of independent stuff all over Spotify and
Yeah.
iTunes and all that stuff.
Do you have a
So
preference of playing live over studio, or is it just, to me it's like two totally different things?
two
They're-
totally
yeah,
different things,
yeah,
but I love them both very, very much.
yeah.
I love being able to create and just it doesn't matter if a tin can sounds good. You can use it in the studio. You can hit this chair. You can hit anything. Just I love being able to be creative and and see people's visions come to life. Like if they send you a guitar or they send you a bass and here's a rough drums, and you kind of take that and make it what they hear in their head, and you give it to them, and then they're happy. You know what I mean? Again, it's about people, you know, seeing their vision come to life and having fun, and they wrote this song, and now it's something more than that. You know what I mean? It's more than just words on a paper and just a guitar. You put drums and bass, guitar, and keyboards or what have you on it, and now it's a song, and they have it forever. So I love doing that, and nothing ever beats the vibe of playing live.
Yeah.
That energy you get from the crowd when that curtain drops, and you just feel that energy. It's like an engine roaring for 90 minutes. It's just incredible. And again, getting to play with my friends and with Luke, and who's in my opinion one of the best entertainers I've ever seen. Not, much less play for, and yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that I get to do this. And so I love both. I
Yeah,
really love both very
yeah.
much, and I like being able to choosing one over the other would be hard for me. I would really like them both, but if I had my druthers, I guess if I had to do one, I still have that energy to play live, over anything. If I had to pick one, I enjoy playing live in
It's
front of people.
it's so weird how different it is to like the amount of energy you put out when you're playing a live show versus just like in your studio or something.
Oh,
It's like 100 times more or something. And it's
it's
just like
not
you have
even close. Yeah,
yeah, you just have so much, like I rarely break sticks, in the studio. With
Oh,
like at gigs, you're just like snap or
same.
breaking
I break two
cymbals or
pairs
whatever.
though.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just like I mean,
I,
there's just so much energy, and like I said, it's that
um,
whole feeding off of each other with the crowd and everything. It's totally
yes.
cool. I
And it
want to,
can be spontaneous, and different things happen every night. You never know
yeah,
what's going to happen.
yeah. That's kind of the
So,
fun of it, right?
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
read a couple of comments we got in the chat here. So Sean Messick, he was actually had long blonde hair. He was one of the drum techs at Drumathon. He said that
Yeah, I remember Sean.
yeah,
Yeah.
he says he had one of the best conversations with you at Drumathon. He said when I asked how he got involved with Drumathon, he of course brought up JC Clifford. Kit is a super talented drummer and extremely humble. I enjoyed his
Yeah.
performance, and I'm glad he's sharing that. So that's really cool. And then Lori
Oh, it's very
Lori
sweet.
Peters is here, who is also a
Lori,
guest, and she says hi.
love her.
Cheryl has a question for you, Kent. She wants to
Yeah, yeah.
know: do you have children, and if so, are they drummers, musicians, or singers? Notice how
I do
she
have.
didn't consider drummers or singers musicians. I
I
just
like
noticed
that. No,
that.
nobody else does.
I'm
Nobody does.
just kidding.
Nobody else does. It's okay. No, I'm kidding.
We love you,
It's
Cheryl.
yes, absolutely. And thank you for the question. So both of my kids, I have a 6-year-old son, an 11-year-old daughter, and both of my children have have the bug. They haven't really picked an instrument or anything, but my daughter has an absolutely beautiful voice. It's just getting her to use it. I'll walk by her room sometimes and hear her singing some of the most beautiful melodies you'll ever hear. And she I try to get her. I got her up here to sing a few times, but nothing. It's hard to pin her down and get her to really focus and want to do it. And my boy has got I set a drum set up here for them both to just come up and play, and they did it for like one day, and they're like, I'll go do something else. But it's always here if they want to circle back to it. But my son, he likes dancing. Like he dances a lot, and he's got a good voice as well. He's got really good rhythm. So you can tell it's there. It's just getting them to utilize it and find it. And I'm not going to force it. If they want to do it, then so be it. And if they circle back to things and it kind of comes back around into their life, and they see, they just don't even, dad's not cool at all. They don't really care what dad does. Just dad. I'm lame old dad. That all right, Dad, cool. That's great. Let's go outside and play. How about that? That's cool. Take
That's
me to
nice. Yeah.
Sephora and buy me some lotion or something. I don't know. My daughter's big into skincare and stuff all of a sudden. So
How funny.
yeah, they don't care. The only thing that hey, Dad's got to go up and play some songs. You're gonna be playing drums. It's really loud, and that whole thing. So
That's so funny.
I
But
love
I
it.
mean,
They can care less,
but
but
it is really cool. I mean, clearly you guys have like a music gene in your family. I mean,
yeah,
from your dad to your kids, it seems like it's
yeah,
it's almost natural. And for kids to
yeah.
have a good rhythm and especially to be able to sing well, that's not easy to
Well,
come
yeah.
by. In my
And my wife
opinion.
sings really, and my wife's got a really pretty voice as well. She danced and sang back in Branson, Missouri and stuff. So she's got a really great voice as well. And yeah, I think as far back, my dad, my grandfather, my great grandfather, I think even played anything with strings on it, that kind of, which I don't. I can't play guitar very well at all. I got enough to get by. But it's pretty much just drums for me. I can tinker around and sing a little bit, but it's pretty much that's all I know right there behind me. So,
Yeah. Well, and
but
we love watching you play. I was watching a
thank
few of the
you.
videos from Drumathon. It was really cool. Got a couple other people in here I want to
Yeah.
call out. So Tara says Tara's a bass player. She and I have played together in a band called Empires. So it's good to see you, Tara. She says live energy is the greatest. And it's so true,
Agreed.
Tara. And Aquarius Fletcher, she's another. We have two breast cancer survivor drummers watching the show in addition to me. So I want to call out
Fantastic.
Lori Peters and
God bless you.
Aquarius. Yeah, are in the house. And Aquarius says playing live is awesome. You draw the energy from the crowd. And that's so
Yes.
very true. Since we have some drummers in the house, let's take a minute to like nerd out on your gear. So
Let's
tell
do
us
it.
a little bit about what kit you take on tour.
All right. I love this part. So the main kit I play is a Pearl. It's a Maple Gum, the Music City series, the Music City custom kit that they make here, right here in Nashville. And man, I love my new favorite drum kit is the Maple Gum kit, and it's just nothing fancy, just a 13-inch tom, 16-inch floor tom, 18-inch floor tom, 24-inch kick, and I'm using the Duolux snare drums, which I've used since I signed with Pearl. a few years ago, and that it's my favorite drum. Like it's the best snare drum I've ever used. I love it, and yeah. So Pearl, I use Sabian,
Oh,
just an
I
array of
gotta ask
Sabian.
you about
Yeah,
the pearls. Like those are some big old fat drums, man. The 16 and
yeah,
18 and the 24 kick. So what
yeah.
drew you to that?
You know what's crazy is I've been using those sizes for a long time. I don't know. I just like the low end. I've always really liked the big thuddy drums, and with Luke, I'm cutting through get a lot of guitars and big loud guitars and stuff. So I wanted big toms and big sounds, and I use big cymbals too. Which again, I've always live anyway. I go 19s and 20s and 21s even and 23, 24-inch rides, um, 16-inch hi hats sometimes. It just depends. I
Wow.
like really big
Yeah.
cymbals. Even with Pam Tillis, I always
Uh-huh.
use big cymbals. And I saw Abe Laboriel with big cymbals, and I saw a guy named Trey Gray here in town that played with Brooks and Dunn for a long time, and Jewel and Faith Hill, and he always had big hi hats and big cymbals, and I was like, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna do that, and I've just been playing big cymbals ever since. I don't know why. Now when I play like a 16-inch crash or 17-inch, it looks like a splash to me. But he, but even
So
but he, but even live, or in the studio, I use 19s and 20s for the most part, but they're a lot thinner. I can't get away with these on the road. I would look at them and crack them probably. I played a lot bigger AAX explosions and heavy crashes and stuff live because I want to get a lot of life out of them. I don't want to keep breaking cymbals on the road, so I use a lot bigger cymbal or thicker cymbals on the road.
yeah, and
Out here,
you
thinner
said
the better.
yeah, you said it a second ago. It's all Sabian that you tour
All
with, and
Sabian.
yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
AAX explosions. If you remember on the splashes that you saw at
Yes.
Drumathon,
Well,
they're
but
like
your
they're like
splash
14,
sounded
16,
great.
18. So yeah, so
Just,
they I always
I'm
use
afraid
yeah. Well,
they
yeah,
sounded great.
the thing with me with about the bigger symbols is that they just bring so long, and I like to hit cymbals probably more often than I need to live, not in the studio but
Eh,
live. I like to
I
hit
don't think
cymbals real often, and so I feel weird about letting the ring go over another
and
symbol a
let them
lot.
decay.
Yeah,
I know exactly
yeah.
what you're saying. Yeah. And again, now if I was playing like if I was consistently playing, you play to the room that you're in. So I would probably play downsides and play smaller cymbals if I was playing smaller venues and stuff like that. But I get away with getting able to use those just playing some of the venues that we are. But I do have to, you dial it back volume wise as well. Just depending on the situation. Of course, I obviously didn't play as loud as I do with Pam when I played with her, if I'm doing a Western swing gig or something. But it's just you put on whatever hat you got to put on, and as Rich Redmond says you have a toolbox and you pull whatever tool out you need and you use that tool, that kind of thing. And I heard him use that reference a couple times, and it makes so much sense. You're not going to play like you're hitting for distance with a Western swing band or a jazz band or anything like that. So man, and I was going to compliment your drum, like at that drumathon, your drums sounded great. Everything was
Thank you
so
so
nice.
much. Thanks.
Everything sounded great. Like it was so well done, and all the gear was great, and everything just sounded. It was anyway. I digress, but
Oh,
man,
but thank
so
you.
well done,
Thank
so
you.
well done,
Well, I got to give props to Matt Puskrich, who does our sound for Drumathon every year, and they
incredible,
donate their time and talent to do that.
man.
And he makes, I could have the worst tuned drum set, and that guy will make it sound just stomping, and you would
I
never
was,
even notice.
and I went out front. I went out front when you were playing and when some other folks were playing. It sounded great. Sounded great out there.
That's
Um,
awesome. I'm so glad.
but yeah,
So
your splashes sounded great.
I'm never gonna forget that. And now
I love your splashes.
you've got me now wanting to go buy some big fat cymbals. You're
No,
like
please don't.
you're gonna come out again one year and it's gonna be like and you'll be like, what the
I
hell's
believe with
happening?
carpal tunnel, yeah. Don't change
Right.
anything. Don't change anything. Keep doing what you're doing
I do have
because
a
it's working.
16 on the kits behind me. I've got a six. It's like a 12, 14, 16, 18, and then a 22. But yeah, I don't have a 24. But man, that's
I,
I would love to play on a kit like what you're talking about one time just
yeah,
to
it's
see.
it's just big, and then I've
Yeah.
got got a 20 over here. I got a 22, different sizes, but I always tend to the very first thing I leaned towards is a 24. I just got used to playing 24 by 14s are my favorite. 14-inch depth, 24-inch round, and that's my go-to. If I had to pick one bass drum, that would be the size. So
Wow, that's so cool.
I think it's just an
Uh-huh.
old school size, you know.
Yeah. I gotta throw
So
in that Lori Peters here says I've got a 16 and 18-inch floor toms too, so she's down with that for
that
sure.
a girl, that a girl. Yep,
And
good
Gabriella
stuff.
says, y'all are great musicians indeed. It is a great Christmas gift this time with you guys. So thank you,
Oh,
Gabriella, for
thank you
saying
so
that. It's
much.
very
Very
cool.
sweet of you.
Yeah, I've got
Thank
my
you.
my nice velvety pink Santa hat on here, and we're here for the holiday season and living it up. I want to ask you a little bit. You and I have been talking for several years about coming out to Drumathon, and it's so
Yes.
hard to get you guys who are so busy with such amazing artists out there on the road because you guys are, out there doing it, hitting it, and you were able to come out this year for the first time, and such a blessing to have you, Kent. I know there was a lot of people really
Oh
excited to see you play and
man.
hear you, and I just really enjoyed getting to chat, especially with you and
Thank you.
Nate after the event, and
Oh my
relaxed a little
God.
bit. You guys could see me with my hair pulled up and
Yeah,
sweaty and
yeah,
gross and
yeah. It
all
was
that stuff.
just.
But
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. I was getting to that anyway. It was just I wanted to hear your perspective of the event and
Oh,
how if you had a good time and all that.
it was. I had an absolute blast, and I made lifelong friends. I feel there, you know, as well. But man, I tell you, it was the most positive feeling thing I've done in a while, as far as just the overall vibe and everybody there for the right reasons, and everybody was on the same team, you know, and you could just feel it. It was palpable. You could just feel everybody wanted to be there. There was not a person there that did not want to be there, and they were all in. Everybody, all the volunteers that worked that thing, and all the artists that came in were top notch. And the way the show was ran, I think I made the comment to you and several others that 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 Drumathon was ran better than a lot of festivals I've done in the past early on, you know, and I meant that. It was very well done, and you guys had it
Thank you
together,
so
and it was
much.
and it was great. And I mean, and Gina Shock, getting to hang out with her,
Right.
kidding me? And then Phil Verone, who I'd wanted to meet, and you know all these just Jimmy DeAnda, everybody that I've watched these guys, and Nate Morton, who I'd met before, but we finally got to hang out, and he's just such a great dude, and what a monster player. And so I was just humbled to be there. And Sandy, of course, I was very humbled and glad to be there. It meant a lot to me that you would ask me, and I will do it anytime you ever need me.
Oh, thanks, man.
So because I enjoyed it very much.
You telling me your view of the event, I really got a big old fat lump in my throat because it means
Mm,
so much to me. I just, Kent, we're just like, I don't know, man. It was like a calling to do all this, and I
it
feel like
was
I'm where I'm supposed to be, and this was what I
well,
was meant to do.
well, and I think you said the venue was new too that year.
This
It
is
was
our third year at the
Oh, was
venue,
it
but
at that
yeah,
place? Was it
yeah,
okay? Newer,
yeah,
man.
newer,
What a perfect venue. What a perfect location.
yeah,
Um, it was
Grandscape.
just I think all the stars aligned for you and for that thing, and you can tell that you put a lot into it, and I think it's paying you back for that. You know what I mean? I think it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. That's what I see happening.
We're gonna
So
do that drumathon
hope
tour
I'm
one
right.
day, Kent. I swear we're
Oh,
gonna do
you
it,
have
man.
to.
It'd be like a summer tour. We'll come through all the
You
big
have to.
markets and do that. That's my dream. And the
Well,
the prize that we're looking for is just making a bigger difference, saving more lives, touching more breast cancer patients, and just being there to help inspire them and give them hope and
absolutely,
just make as big a difference as we possibly can. And I'm so grateful for
absolutely.
for you and for all the
Yeah.
celebrities that came out, all the volunteers and everybody. We just have such amazing people around us and just so much love at those shows. Lori says it was so great to meet you at Drumathon. Happy I can call you my friend now. Very cool.
Likewise, Lori.
Yeah,
Big
that's
fan of
very cool.
yours as well, Lori. So, yeah,
Amazing.
it was just I could tell that you love what you do, and it shows. It shows. So, and everybody else wants to be there for you. So that says a lot. You know, you have a lot of people that are there for you and see and have the same vision that you do. So it was so cool. I can't talk enough about it. How much fun I had. So
Well, thank you
if you
so
ever need me,
much, man. I appreciate that, Kent, so much. I can't even say. I
uh,
feel like
I
you're
mean it.
doing the Barbara Walters on me, where you're gonna make me
No,
cry.
no,
It's
no,
not
no,
you're
no, no, no,
switching.
no. None of that. None
You
of
can
that.
make
None of that.
make me cry on my own dang show,
No,
man. What are
don't
you
do
doing?
that. No, I'm just being honest with you. I
I
just,
appreciate it so much,
I
man.
truly enjoyed it.
Well, thank
Truly
you
enjoyed
so
it.
much. And thank you for coming on
No,
this show and sharing your story. It's so cool to
wouldn't miss
learn
it.
more about you. And I hope to get to chat
No,
with you again real soon, my friend.
you let me know anytime, anywhere. If you ever need anything, if there's anything I can do, I'll be here.
Thank you so much, Kent. Man, you have a great evening and happy holidays to you and your family, okay?
All right. Same to you as well. And take care, guys. Thank y'all for chiming in and having questions. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye. Everybody, man, give it up for Kent, man. Drummer for Luke Bryan. So good to have him here this evening. So grateful to be surrounded by such amazing folks, man. I want to give a shout out